Spoiler warning. This video has intense spoilers for the entire Mistborn series, including Era 1, Era 2, and the novella Mistborn: A Secret History. This video also has spoilers for the Stormlight Archive books 1 through 4. While this video does contain general Cosmere spoilers for the Cosmere at large, other than those books that I specifically mentioned, this video contains no plot spoilers for any other books in the Cosmere. Hey nerds, what's up? After my last Cosmere for Beginners video, a lot of you requested that I do other kind of quick for beginner Cosmere videos, so I'm here to do that today. If you haven't seen my Cosmere for Beginners video, that is a great place to start. Otherwise, I'm going to try to start a new series called Cosmere in 10 minutes, and today I'm doing the most requested topic, which is shards. First, let's start off with what is a shard. In the Cosmere, Adonalsium is considered a sort of god, at least responsible for creating the Cosmere. Sometime a long time ago in the history of the Cosmere, a group of people killed Adonalsium, splitting their power into 16 shards. This event is known as the Shattering. These 16 shards each bear a name that represent a portion of Adonalsium's personality. As a reminder, the shard is the power, and then there is a person known as a vessel who holds that shard or power. The shards, and thus vessels on each world, are often considered the gods of those worlds. And though we don't know how fast it happens or to what extent, it is clearly evident that the intent or the personality of the shard does eventually affect the vessel and influence their actions, and even sometimes stopping them from doing what they want to do because they are bound by that kind of character trait. Also, a good thing to note is we often refer to the vessel by the shard's name, which is why I think it gets a little confusing for people new to the Cosmere to understand that the vessel and shard are technically two different things. Also, you'll see the shard and the intent of that shard affect the magic of each Cosmere system that you're in. Now for a shard overview. We currently know 15 of the 16 shard names. As a side note, not all of the 16 shards exist in the same format anymore. Some have been combined and some have been splintered, but we can talk about that when we get to the individual ones. The shards are Devotion and Dominion, which reside on Sel, which is the Elantris world, Preservation and Ruin on Scadrial, which is from Mistborn, Odium, Cultivation, and Honor, which is on Roshar, or from the Stormlight Archive, Endowment, which is on Nalthis, or Warbreaker, Autonomy, which is on Taldane from White Sand, Ambition from Threnody from Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell, Virtuosity on Kamashi, or Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, and then other shards we know that have been mentioned but we do not know from which world are Invention, Mercy, Valor, Whimsy, and then of course our final unknown, which is the shard that has not been named. Let's dive down to the specifics of some of these shards. Let's start with Elantris, which takes place on Sel, and their shards. Devotion and Dominion were once held by the vessels Aeona and Sky. We don't know a lot about these vessels, but they were both killed and their shards splintered. If a shard is splintered, it means that that shard's power or investiture has been broken into fragments. A shard can splinter parts of itself, or often another power splinters a shard in an attempt to weaken its power. This usually happens in an event that both kills the vessel and splinters the shard at the same time. Splintered shards will manifest in different ways. In the case of Elantris and Sel, the splintered shards of Devotion and Dominion come together to make the Door, which is often considered its combined name. Additionally, Aeons are splinters of Devotion. Next, let's talk about Mistborn or Scadrial shards. First up, in Mistborn Era 1, we had Ruin and Preservation, which are probably the shards most referenced in a primary book. Ruin was previously held by Addy, and Preservation was held by Laris, but also briefly by Vin and Kelsier within the course of the novels. Laris and Ati, the original vessels, are both dead. The shards Ruin and Preservation were both picked up by Sazed and combined to make the shard Harmony. So now Scadrial only has one shard, and that is Harmony. Next up is the Stormlight Archive, or Roshar, and their shards. There are 3 primary shards we are going to talk about on Roshar, which is Honor, Cultivation, and Odium. Honor was originally held by Tanavast, but he was subsequently killed and his shard was splintered. Honor splinters are the spren of Roshar, with one of the largest splinters being the Stormfather. Stormlight is also associated with Honor. Cultivation is currently held by Corvilium Avast, the original vessel, and Cultivation's shard is intact. Lifelight is associated with Cultivation. Cultivation and Honor's powers are combined to create Surge Binding. Some surges are more of Honor and some are more of Cultivation. Tanavast and Corvalium were a couple at one point. Finally, there is Odium. Odium was originally held by Race, but Race was killed by Nightblood and Tarvangian picked up the shard as the new vessel. Odium is different than most of the other shards because Race did not invest a planet, but rather traveled to multiple different planets and also killed many of the other shards, including Devotion, Dominion, and Honor, which we previously talked about, and also Ambition. Odium is currently trapped in the Rasharian system. Odium created many spren, usually known as Void Spren. Void Light is associated with Odium. Obviously, like the main Mistborn series, a lot of the plot of the Stormlight Archive revolves around these vessels and shards, so I feel like we get a lot more of this information from the main series than some of the stuff we know about other shards. Next up, we've got White Sand, or Taldane shards. Autonomy, held by the vessel Bavadin, is invested on Taldane. Autonomy has several avatars that are bent on controlling other worlds and shards. We know there's an avatar on First of the Sun, the planet from the novella Six of the Dusk, and an avatar on Scadrial, particularly a part of the main plotline in Mistborn Era 2. That avatar is known as Trell. Okay, and then I'm gonna go quickly over the other shards. What I've just told you previously is the bulk of what we know about shards. They happen in primary series. A lot of what we know about them happens in the books, so we know a lot. Going forward, we don't know nearly as much information. We mostly just know their names and status, essentially. So for Warbreaker, from the planet Nalthis, we have the Shard Endowment, which is held by the vessel Edgley. For the novella Shadows of Silence in the Forest of Hell, we have the Shard Ambition, who was held by Uli Da. Uli Da was killed and Ambition splintered. Ambition was splintered in a unique way in which parts of her were splintered on Threnody, but Ambition escaped before being destroyed and she was killed somewhere else. There is Virtuosity from Yumi and the Nightmare Painter and the planet Komashi. Their vessel is unknown, but we do know that the vessel died. The other shards previously mentioned in the first part of my video do not have known vessels or worlds. Okay, and that concludes my quick primer on shards. I hope it was helpful just to kind of see the list out there and to kind of pinpoint some of the major information we know about them. Obviously, there are other things we know and have theorized about some of the bigger shards, particularly in the Stormlight Archive and Odium when it is very plot specific. But I think this is a good starting point to get into those larger ideas, just so that we have the basic information. If you like these 10-minute Cosmere videos, please let me know because I will make them about other subjects and you can suggest subjects below. If you like these kind of videos, as always, please like and subscribe. That is the best way to support me. And if you want to see what I'm currently reading, you can check me out on Instagram at bookborn.reviews. I'll see you next time. Bye.